about this. What's the movie on today?
U-N-I-T-Y. That's a unity.
T-Y. It's the Queen.
Oh, I can't just sit down. I can't sit down.
You gotta hit it with her.
Oh, he's a running man?
You gotta hit it with the running man. Hit it with the running man.
Why is my running man like he hurt though? Oh man. That's the mood. That's what we on today.
That's the mood today, guys.
It's a unity.
And that's that. That's it? Yeah.
Just cut it off like that, huh? There you go. Let it ride.
Let it ride a little bit.
A little bit longer.
So you got something better.
It's gonna be a special day, man.
Special day. We got a special guest today.
Yeah, very
special guest. Really outspoken. Big personality.
Very outspoken, big personality, great human being. Just all around special person. So yeah. I'm excited about today.
Yeah. I think so. I think I met her at your wedding.
At the big party?
At the big party.
At the big party.
The big party we had, and she was awesome. She was amazing.
She's great, yeah.
And when she gave that speech, I was like, oh, she's cool. I like her. I need to get to know her. So,
yeah.
How was your weekend, man?
My weekend. So my weekend was it was okay. I did what did I do? I went out Saturday. I went to the highlight room and did a little pool thing, pool party day.
Any highlights?
I realized that I'm really old. Like I can't enjoy that stuff like I used to. I mean, it was cool to see some of the eye candy walking by and actually, you know, consume that part of it. But I got done. I was at home at like 8 o'clock, and I was beat. I went to sleep at like 9. It's crazy. Like I don't enjoy that world anymore. You see all these girls running around and guys trying to flash their money and flash their bottles and.
You're evolving.
I'm done.
You're evolving.
I'm done with that.
You're evolving.
So
it's not old, but you're still fairly young. Your body might be 60 years old.
You can't call my youngest. What about yours? What about your weekend?
I did nothing. Yeah. I got, what's today, 16? I got 15 days to finish my book.
That's right.
So I've been book mode, finish a chapter, got to start another one today. Editing, so that's the mode I'm in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you still young. I wanted you to go out with me. I told you to come meet me at the place, and
nah, boss.
And I got crickets.
I got priorities. I got girls. Actually, no. Let me change that. What I did do something. I was tested doing a show for NBC.
That's right. You did.
The Titan Games. I tested that, so I helped out on that show. So that was amazing to see a lot of the contestants and women, people.
Oh, man, stop being so modest too. You had the fastest time over the weekend too, right?
I did. I'm 11. I'm tired. Course record. 53 seconds, and they're still talking about me today.
But then you laid up in bed for the rest of the weekend.
I did.
So your body, so you're a little older.
Yeah.
So your body wasn't.
I don't want to cover as fast, but we're good.
Right.
So
cool.
Amazing show coming out. I don't know if I can even public, but amazing show coming out later this year.
Okay.
So I'll be helping out working on that. So that was good. So other than that was it. Book writing in NBC, and then back to the podcast. Yesterday we wanted to get to it because we have such a hot topic today. Today is the hot topic.
Today's a hot topic. We don't have any little things we need to talk about besides today, right?
Yes, today is it.
Okay.
So we can get right into this. As today, the topic today is feminism. What role do men play?
And do we have?
Yeah, do we play? So of course we have a role, but I think it's a question with how everything is going on now. It's such a touchy topic. And before we get into this, what I want to say about this, because it's such a touchy subject, we're having this subject because we want to build a bridge, not really tear down. Right? We want to create a safe space for people to share their thoughts.
It's not a forum today to point fingers. It's about kind of bridging that gap and
absolutely to hear both sides of it. You know, so we want to have the ability for confidence and the ability to share what we feel, how we feel, but also not tell another person that they're wrong. This isn't about pointing fingers, right, wrong.
Yeah, there can be valid points on each side.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And we want to have a frank conversation. Let's get right to it. Speak to the truth and not tiptoe around it. You know, let's make it comfortable, but let's really get to the issue as to what feminism is. So cool. You can start. You can introduce our guest today.
Oh yeah, the special guest today. So the special guest today is an exceptional woman. She's She's been around. She's been around the game for a while. I know I'm in the acting game now, and she's been around the game for a while. Somebody I respected for a long time, and actually got to work with her on a movie in Bulgaria that we shot for Hallmark. So I met her that way, and she's been in my life, a constant person in my life since then. And great. She was she's an actress. She's been breaking hearts for a long time, little boys' hearts and grown men's hearts for a long time.
Still breaking hearts, sure.
Still doing it, but she was Deanna Troi on Star Trek, and like I remember that. I was like, ooh. I remember Marina then. So she's our special guest. She's here. I'm gonna calm down. But she's here. I'm so happy. My friend Marina Sartis. Come on board, Marina.
Come on.
There we go. Hello, my darling.
Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm good.
So,
Have a seat here.
well, I'm the right age for the person to talk about this because I was there at the beginning of the feminist movement. Because I was ancient.
Right. And I think that's the interesting topic,
Right.
because you're seeing
The
60s, 70s, 80s,
60s,
and you're seeing
70s,
it now.
I'm
So
seeing
you have
it
two
now.
perspectives.
I do. And I kind of, not to diss you guys, but I kind of feel like I have a theory that unless you're black, you don't have any right to comment on what it's like to be black. If you're a white person, you don't have an opinion when it comes to black people because you've never walked a mile in their shoes. You can't, right? And I kind of feel a little bit like that about men and feminism. Unless you've walked a mile in our shoes, you don't know what it's like to be a woman.
Absolutely.
Right? So let's start with that because with that like parameter.
Okay.
So I might put you down a little bit.
No, the whole point of us having this conversation is
Alright.
a lot of men don't want to tackle this.
They don't want to tackle it.
And we're okay, like, if I want to leave a better person understanding more about what women actually, how they feel, we want to acknowledge their feelings. That's the biggest thing for me because we don't always know.
Right.
But I also want to have a voice and let other men know, like, look, you're not the only person in this. Like, we can be expressive and vulnerable and be like, hey, let's be open to their needs. But I do think there's a part of where men don't understand and we kind of tiptoe around certain things because we know we're not women. Right. You know, but we tiptoe around because we don't want to offend. I think.
But I think we tiptoe around it not just from the standpoint that we're men, but there are so many extremist groups when it comes to that to feminism that we're scared. We don't know what that means. So that's the thing.
Yeah. So
let's get the drink started.
Let's get the drink started. Okay.
She started this with a bang.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. So, well, you know, I will gladly put you straight on anything that you need to know.
No.
Right. So the first thing I want to say is that when feminism started, like any movement, to get attention, it has to be extreme. Okay. We had to go extreme. I mean, I was literally on protests burning my bra. I mean, physically burning my bra, because that was the time that I grew up in. Right. So it's almost like you have to go to the extreme level to get attention, and then you can kind of walk it back a bit, you know, having been to that nth degree.
Yeah.
Some of the women stayed there at the nth degree. My opinion is that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And alienating people is probably not the right way to go. But I'm open to any questions that you may have about my feminism.
Well, I think the first thing we should do right now is actually give the real definition of feminism, right?
It's equality.
It's equality.
That's all it is.
That's all it is, right?
Do you know, in America we don't have legal equality. Women do not have legal equality. That has never been voted on. They will never bring it up in the House because God forbid it loses. Then what does it say about America, right? So they won't even go there.
Even being able to vote for black people isn't law.
It isn't law.
It isn't. That's something they have to vote on, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things, and that's why it's important for us to tackle this.
Exactly.
Because to have an understanding how we might see it, how you might see it, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Because I feel like feminism to me, and that's going to be our first question, is I think at the core of it, the true core, I think is a choice to become and be whoever it is that you want in this world.
But it's to be equal. It's to be equal with men. It's absolutely to be equal with men, not just the fact that we only earn roughly 80 cents on the dollar to what men earn. That's a proven fact. especially in this town, right?
Yes.
You know, I was on a show for 7 years. Girls never got paid as much as the boys. It was accepted. That's what's got to change. The acceptance of it. The acceptance that women are going to get paid less than the men for the same work. You know, the acceptance that you know, I got a tweet the other day saying women should not use bad language. Retweet if you agree. Well, I went off at him. You know, I'm like, what is that? Why are we not allowed to speak the same words as guys?
Right.
You know?
I think that goes on both sides, because even from the feminist movement, you see women trying to tell other women how to dress, how to be, how to act. Well, if you're a feminist, you can't dress this way, you can't do this.
Well, you know, this is another thing. That's, you know, and that's why it's, again, you're right, it's choice.
Yeah.
I choose to dress a certain way, right?
Yeah, right.
I highlight my good bits and I hide my bad bits. My good bits are my legs, right? I have great legs.
Yes, you do.
I do, right?
You do.
You've seen the legs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm 63 years old. I still have great legs. I still wear mini skirts.
So you can still do the splits.
And I can still do the splits.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
That is the
Let me
truth.
see that.
Okay, and like, before we leave, yeah. But so it is, and like no one should tell anyone what to do. Other women should not tell other women what to do.
Absolutely.
That's freedom.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the issues that men have with it though, because you have women fighting other women, so they don't even know what feminism means between them.
Right.
So men on the outside looking at it like, how are we supposed to jump in and help if you guys are kind of bickering about the situation?
Okay, so again, so there's a difference between male chauvinist pigs is what we used to call you know, you guys back in the 60s and 70s
Put
and
me in
80s,
that box.
Right? I kind of feel like the really ardent feminists threw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Because there's feminism and then there's good manners, and having good manners. Like if I'm struggling to put my suitcase in the overhead on the plane, isn't it just good manners for a guy who's probably stronger and taller to help me? Do you know it never happens anymore?
Because
it never happens.
We don't want to overstep boundaries. We have women extremists that are saying, if I open the door for you, I don't need you to open the door. I can do it myself.
You see,
I'm like, what is that?
well, I don't like that, because
You know
to
what I
me,
mean?
that's just good manners.
Right.
It's just, I hold the door open for people. I hold the door open for older people.
Yeah.
I help older, you know, if I see an older person on a bus or a train, I get up and give them my seat. That's good manners, right? And actually, I do shame the men when they don't help me with my luggage. And I turn around and I say to them, your mother would be ashamed of you.
But see, I think that goes back to that's a belief.
Right.
And that's your belief system, what you think feminist is, what do you think doing right is, what your child upbringing. Because if you weren't taught, if that wasn't ingrained in you, it's like living in this patriarchal society. A lot of stuff that we do, how we act, how we think, is ingrained in us.
Right.
So comes from beliefs. The tradition is what starts, and then that becomes a belief. So for me, that's just something my mom always taught me.
Right.
That's just upbringing. If I see an old lady, I'm gonna stand up. Hey, no, let me help you.
Exactly.
That's just what some people don't have. And I think more for today, when we look at the feminist thing, I want to really challenge people's belief on what they think it is. Because what it is for me, might be two totally different things. So we're just trying to get an understanding of what is feminism today versus where you were now.
Right.
Yeah. Is it for the better?
Well, listen, anytime, any equality, and you know, you guys being African American, you know about fighting for equality, right? You still don't have it. Women still don't have it, right? We just don't. We're kind of in the same boat in that respect. But feminism today, I think, is sadly, is kind of on the decline, because like I said, I marched in the 60s and 70s. I marched with banners, you know, equality for women in London. We wanted to kind of smash the stereotypes. What I see now, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there are famous women who have made it all about looks again, and we fought for so long to make it about who you are as a person. That there are pretty people and there are not so many and not so pretty people, but it's not about how we fought for years, for decades, to make it not about how we looked, not about how our bodies were. Now it seems that young girls, they're having plastic surgery at 16 to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And so my feminist mind is exploding because I'm like, this is not what we fought for. You know, you ask young American women, doesn't happen so much in Europe, and definitely doesn't happen in Africa and other continents. But you ask American girls, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a reality star. I want to kill myself when I hear that.
Yeah.
You go to Oprah school in Africa, not one of those girls wants to be a reality star. They want to be doctors, they want to be engineers, they want to go back and learn something and help their people. And now we've created this this generation of narcissists, and all they care about is how they look and posing for their selfies. And I want to shoot my brains out.
Now, it's funny you said something about actresses, because I read something about actress Shailene Woodley.
Shailene Woodley,
And
right?
she was saying something about the reason why she doesn't like to say she's a feminist,
Right.
or put herself in that category is because it's another label. You know, people are really scared to be putting labels in the boxes. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, how do you relate to that? Do you I mean, obviously you are a feminist, but is there a level to it? Is there something that you find when you find people like this who's really in the eye, and really somebody that's pertinent to the movement, can be pertinent to the movement?
But she's young, and
Like,
this
what
is
do you feel
this is
about
the problem that I have.
Yeah.
She's young, and this is an attitude with the younger women. What is wrong with being a feminist? Why? And you know, I hope that she's not coming from a place of fear.
Right.
A fear of calling herself a feminist, because it will somehow, you know, be a disservice to her career. I call myself a feminist. I absolutely call myself a feminist because I'm not ashamed of it. It's something that I'm proud of. It's something that I've fought for my whole life. It's something I care really strongly about. It's something that until we are equal to men, I will continue to fight for. And this is what I mean, the young women have kind of lost the plot a little bit when it comes to feminism, because, you know, they're being called feminazis, you know, which is ridiculous. You know, a feminazi is someone who speaks out for women and doesn't hold back. Men are allowed to do that, but women are not allowed to do that. A lot of men still see that women should be decorative and trophy wives and objectified, and God forbid they have an opinion, you know. So I'm proud to call myself a feminist with a capital F.
That goes back to what they were taught and what was ingrained in them. And I think one of the things the feminist movement, as men who've been taught this and seen this for years, it's not going to happen in one day, one month, 1 year, but it has to be this constant dialogue of back and forth. There has to be, as long as we're in, if you try to control any type of relationship through coercion or have the domination of the other person, men or women, we're never going to evolve and expand and move forward.
Right. Look at things like rape, right? Because of the nature of our society, the majority of rapes are not reported because they know that a woman's sexual history is going to be brought up in the trial.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
And women don't want to put themselves through that. Because still to this day, in 2018, a woman that sleeps around is a slut. But a guy who sleeps around is, oh, good lad, oh, good for you. How many?
That's
you know what? There's so
very true.
From kids, we're taught sports, sex, women.
Right,
We're not taught the other stuff.
Right. Well, in my opinion, the most important discovery, most important invention of the 20th century was the birth control pill. Because the birth control pill changed the world. Well, birth control pill and the Beatles kind of went together and they changed the world, right? For the first time in the history of humankind, women were allowed to enjoy sex.
Right.
And just have sex for fun. Because up until then, you had sex, the chances of getting pregnant, that was like the worst thing that could happen, right? So, and listen, I was brought up by an old-fashioned Greek mother.
Yeah.
So my feminism was something that I learned myself because my mom was like, I mean, I remember when I split up with a boyfriend and she'd like, he doesn't beat you, he doesn't gamble, what else do you want? You know, that was my mom's generation. You made your bed, you lay in it. You know, it was like, you married this guy, that's it, forever. So this is what feminism is. There should not be one set of rules for boys and a different set of rules for girls.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I agree. I think by the definition in the book, we're all feminists. I mean, I would hope that we all are. I mean, I hope that we all want equal rights, right?
Well, not everyone does. Not everyone is as evolved as you, Kerry.
Yes, I agree. But we should be. By the book, that's what it should be. But the fact that I think the words become such a negative thing, it's become such a negative connotation with the word because we're so we're confused. I think as a society, as human beings, we're confused because we just don't know from each person from day to day what that means and what they're trying to get accomplished.
Okay, all right, let me ask you something. If you're walking through a door, right, if you're walking through a door and there's a woman coming up behind you, I mean, or anyone coming up behind you, are you going to let that door slam in their face? No.
Absolutely.
Aren't you going to hold it open for them? To go through. I do it. Yeah. I do it to men and women, right? That's why I said it's good manners.
Good manners.
And I think there are the women who are extreme and say, you know, don't hold the door open for me.
Do you think that's bad for the movement?
I do think it's bad for the movement, actually. Listen, I can do everything myself. I was talking about lifting my suitcase. Because no one ever helps me, if I can't lift my suitcase into the overhead, I take some stuff out, right? Because if I need to be able to do it myself. But it doesn't mean that I don't wouldn't appreciate someone giving me a hand, right? So I think, you know, the very extremist women who are just saying, like, we hate men. I don't hate men, I love men,
right.
You know.
But that's one of the common things that come up. And I'm gonna read a couple of things off why do people hate the term feminism or the feminist movement.
Right.
One of the things, feminists have become associated with strong, forceful, and angry women. And society continues to punish forceful women, as you talked about earlier. Women who are forceful, whether it be in business, and I saw some numbers, it drops the amount of money they make yearly by at least $15,000 to $20,000 if you're forceful.
I know.
And there's so much data that says that, but in movements like the feminist movement, you need forceful women.
Exactly, and you know, is there anyone more loud and forceful and obnoxious than me, Kerry? You've not met one, really. I am probably the loudest, most forceful woman. It gets me into a lot of trouble. It does get me into a lot of trouble because I'm not allowed to be that way. It's not acceptable to some people for a woman to speak her opinion and throw a couple of cuss words in there to make her point, you know?
Yeah, I want to read a couple more just because. So another one, many people fear that feminism will mean that men will eventually lose out of power, influence, impact, authority, and control economic opportunities.
Okay, so you know what that is? That's exactly like saying, it's exactly like what white men are saying now. That, you know, that white men, I mean, which is the most absurd thing on the planet, that white men are feeling, you know, that they have lost their rights. It's ridiculous. Women do not want to control the world. Actually, to be honest, if we did, there would definitely not be as many wars, and so we wouldn't be, because we wouldn't be figuring who's got the biggest one, right?
So how many wars have started over a woman? If we want to go back way into time.
Probably the Trojan War, and that was probably it, over Helen of Troy.
And that's what I think, like when they talk about a patriarchal society versus a matriarchal one, there's less crime. And I was reading some, they didn't have the numbers, but it was like there's less violence. But I always say it's always balanced with anything. There's no one right way.
Well, you have to understand that women and men are wired differently.
Yes, we do. Yes.
We are wired. We have different synapses. Our brain chemistry is different. I had a bit of an epiphany a couple of years ago, where I have a girlfriend who has two boys, and she walked into the room. They're both perfectly healthy, and one of them was hitting his head against the wall. And she goes like, Jimmy, why are you doing that? I don't know. Every guy gets it. Every woman goes, what the hell is that? Right. Girls don't do that. Most of the time, the accidents, the kids stuck in caves, it's always boys, right? So I went, you know what? We are so different. We actually have got to stop. I know it sounds kind of defeatist. We have to try to stop really trying to understand each other, because we can't. We have to be empathic to, listen, me talking Troy talk here. We have to be empathic. We have to be, listen. We have to respect. But I don't understand how you guys work, and you don't understand how I work, because our brain chemistry is different.
I agree with that, but I think that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bridge those worlds, because we know that obviously men are from Mars and women are from Venus, right? We got that dynamic, and that's very true. But why not help each other? Why not help each other figure it out?
We can help each other,
yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Because your response to a problem is not the same as my response to a problem. Right? I remember I had a guy friend who was saying, well, my girl came home from work and she was telling me the problem she had at work, and then I kind of offered her some solutions, and she went off at me. And I went, yeah, because she knows, she's not a stupid person, she knows what the solutions are.
Right.
You want to fix it. She wants you to listen.
Right.
That's the difference. Men want to fix it, and women want to talk about it and come to a solution. Women want to talk things out. Men act. They tend to act. It's like you get a problem, your reaction is, how do I fix this problem? A woman has a problem, she's like, let me call my girlfriend. Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting, because we can go so many different ways.
Yeah.
Let's get back on
with this.
Get back on.
One of the first questions, I think we kind of answered
Right.
it, and we were talking about, you told us what you think feminism is, and as I've said, I think it's both men and women.
Yes.
It's not just, I think society here has this notion, they love to force down our throat black and white, men versus women. It's just this disconnect, it becomes divisive in a sense where like women and men go back and forth, and it's like, this is not about, right or wrong. This is that's why we ask, how can men help support, or what do we do?
Right.
And things like that. So before, I guess, recap, for people, anybody who's just coming in, today's topic is feminism.
If you can't tell,
Right.
yeah, it is feminism, and
Because I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist as
Yes.
well.
So who?
Trying.
I think as one of the questions, do you believe men and women should have equal rights?
Absolutely. Everyone should have equal rights.
Because there's this thing when people, when women, and I have a notion that when I say this about women, when it comes to equal rights, and I was like, don't be better than men. Be the best possible human being or woman.
Yeah, but wait a second. You see, you're falling into that trap.
What trap?
Women have to be better than men. Women have to be better than men to do.
No, I'm not saying that. Not for myself.
Right.
What I'm saying is that when I listen to women say, I want to be better than men, I want to be, even I'm like, no.
No, they have to be better than men, because if a woman is doing a stereotypically man's job, she has to be better than the man, because she'll never get that job otherwise. Because the man will always get it. I was talking to a teacher recently, one of my good friends is a teacher, a high school teacher, and she said when she first started teaching, she couldn't get a job because men were always, they would rather employ a man. Because they have this delusion that women are going to go and get pregnant and then they're going to have to play maternity leave,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Listen, there are women like me who never wanted to have kids. But men
For the fear of that, or
no,
okay.
I never wanted kids.
Okay.
I didn't. I never wanted kids.
Gotcha.
So, why would you assume if I'm going up for the same job as a man? Why would you assume that just because I'm a woman, I'm going to go off and have kids? They won't ask you that question because it's kind of intrusive, But there are certain rules that it's like they will. Look, I'm a big sports nut, right? My favourite sport is football. The actual
soccer.
Excuse me, it's called football.
Let's say soccer.
It's called football because people actually kick the ball with their feet, as opposed to the sport that you played, where only the punter and the kicker kick the ball with their feet. I love football, right? So there is one lady linesman that I've seen on TV. That's the ref on the sideline that's calling offside and fouls near the edge, right?
Yeah.
Every time there's a disputed call, she's been right 100% of the time. She's always right. I'm pretty sure no other male linesman is right 100% of the time. But she has to be right 100% of the time because she's a woman in a man's world.
But I think that's the thing when we talk about rules. I'm all about breaking those rules and these beliefs that things have to be a certain type of way. So when I say that don't set men as a standard or the bar anymore. Set a new bar.
Right.
That's my thing when it's in this, men, this and men. I'm like, when you say, I got to be better than men, you're still setting men as the bar and what you're comparing to, which I understand why that is. But that's an ingrained thing, what we're taught to think, we got to be better than men, It's like, no. There's things that a woman absolutely will dominate men in. And I will tell you, the men are smart, women are smarter than men. I will always say that. Women are stronger in a lot of ways.
Well, we're emotionally stronger.
Emotionally, so that's what I'm saying. There are things that women are really, really phenomenal at, and there are things that men are good at. I'm not here to tell women, oh, you shouldn't do this. Who am I? And I tell people, when you try as you go downhill and they're going to jump on your head.
Talk about women dressing. As a feminist, I hate the fact, and I know it's sometimes it's their choice, and sometimes it isn't their choice. It's tradition and religion. I hate to see a woman in a burqa. As a feminist, I hate to see a woman in a burqa. If it's because she is a devout Muslim and feels that she, that's how she expresses her faith, that's fine. But if she's wearing a burqa because her husband demands it, then I have a problem with that. I really do. Again, and again, you have to ask yourself, why is it in that faith for women to cover themselves? It's because men are saying, if I see your face or if I see your ankles, I won't be able to control what happens in my boy parts. And so suddenly women become responsible for men not being able to control themselves, so they have to cover themselves. That is the opposite of feminism.
So we have a couple of questions, which was kind of going to touch on. Okay, you have something?
No, go ahead.
Oh, which was kind of, because even when you look at in marriages or relationships, you have some women who say they submit to their man.
Yeah, and I'm going to smack them.
So. Go ahead. No, but when we look at, because even these come from women who are
a lot of
feminists, and you submit to your man. So
they're not feminists if they submit to their man.
And but I think with that, and I'm like, okay, if that's your choice, because that's their choice, right? But I also think it's okay for men to submit to their woman.
Yeah.
And so once again, it comes back to
it hardly ever happens.
But but that's what we're trying to combat that, go against that. But look, men, it's okay to surrender and submit to your woman just as she does you. It's an equal partnership, right?
It shouldn't be a submit and surrender. It should be mutual respect. You shouldn't call it submit and surrender. It should be mutual respect. And and I know some women in my business. They tend to be Christian women who say, the men that my husband makes all the decisions. I go with what my husband wants. Again, that's their choice. I don't agree. I feel that it's not a good lesson to teach your children that women submit to men.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's a good lesson if you have daughters for them to see that. But then that's just my opinion. That's what they do in their house is absolutely 100% their decision.
Yeah,
again, this it propagates the kind of the narrative that men are superior, men are smarter, men are know the way the world works more than women, so we should and it's basically this. And I don't do that to anybody. No one. I don't submit to anybody.
Yeah, I think when you say it's a mutual respect, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I just don't find that right now in this day and age that choice permeates throughout our whole community, because we have some guys that will submit willingly or
listen to their wife, or listen to their partner.
That's the word.
Right.
Then they're considered weak, or they're considered not a man in those decisions. So how do we start that conversation and put it to where men can actually feel that way and feel safe in being able to do that with their spouses, their significant others? How do we start that conversation to make that happen?
Isn't that just communication? Isn't that how you just say, what you just did? You don't point the finger and say, don't do that. Mm-hmm. You say, again, this is my, because I played a psychologist for 7 years. I do feel that I am now qualified to speak as one. Basically, you just want to say, this is how what you said makes me feel. Mm-hmm. Right? You always have to say how it makes you feel. Because I've been with the same guy for 30 years. Trust me, it's not easy. He was raised by an Italian mama,
Right.
He had very set views on what, kind of ideas of what women and men's relationship should be like. And then he met me, and that all went out the window. So you have to be open. I think that's another thing. You have to be open. You have to listen. People who have these set ideas of what everyone's role in society is, they're living back in the Victorian times. This is 2018.
That's an important thing, because I think a lot of these old traditional ideas that worked, which worked 30, 40 years ago, probably worked and what was needed for that time. We might not understand it, but they don't serve us now. And the evolution of society and the things need to change. Where in a burger probably need to change. Certain traditions and ideas probably need to change. But once again, that's a programming. That's something that's been ingrained in us to kids. That's why I go back. We have to separate what we believe from why we believe it.
But something that worked so well back in that time, like how do you get to the point now in
you have
the new
to,
age
you have to
that
figure
it
out
works?
why did it work? Why did it work? I'm a baby boomer, right? Why is there such a thing as baby boomers? Because they came after the war. And so many millions of people had died. Women had to have babies to make more boys. We didn't have enough boys. The boys had gone off to war and millions have been killed in a 50-year space, less than that. From 1918 to 1939, what's that, 20 years, 21 years? We lost two generations of men. So women stayed home and had babies because we needed to replenish the population. We've got enough people now, right? We've got too many people now. So it's like women's role has changed, and that's why the Ozzie and Harriet thing was happening in the 50s. That was a woman's role, to stay home and raise her family and replenish the population. We don't need to do that anymore, right?
So I have a question. All right, when we talk about women telling women how to be and how to act, and men, it's a big no-no. What is it? What do you think being a woman is? What is that?
It's just being a human being. You see, and that's again, why should that be different to okay, we have different body parts. That's it. We have different body parts.
So biologically we're different.
We're different.
Yeah.
But my thing is equality and justice. They're the two things that I care most about. Equality for everybody, not just men and women, for all the different races and all the colors and all the religions. Everyone should be equal. And justice, fairness, right? I hate when there's injustice in the world. That's the one thing that makes me pull my back. I really get upset. I really get upset when cops can kill black guys and not get punished for it. That's injustice. It makes my blood boil. And so I don't think there's a difference. I don't think we can say, okay, this is women, this is men. We're all human beings and we should all be striving for the same thing.
But I was just asking that in a sense of, there's so many people trying to define who they are. I'm a woman, I'm this and I'm that.
Okay. Not so much in any other country than America. This is why America is the #1 country when it comes to crazy religions and cults. Because you're a new country. You're a baby in the state of the universe. You are a baby at her mother's breast still, compared to other countries in the world that have been around for thousands of years. Right? I think as Americans, you're still trying to figure out who you are in the world and what your place is in the world. Because you're new. You're babies. You're only 200 and something years old, right? And you've had so many problems along the way, I was always English until I came to America. And where are you from? I'm English. I was born in London. I have a British passport. I've spent maybe a year of my life in Greece, which is where my parents were from. I'm first generation English. When I arrived in America, suddenly I'm Greek. And I'm like, hello, because no one's just American. You're African American or Italian American or Polish American. It's this constant wanting to put you into pigeonholes. And it's the same with men and women. We don't have really these conversations in Europe.
No, so that's why I agree with that, because somebody who I date talks about that a lot. She's like, we don't deal with this here. It's just crazy, like how families are. And I'm like, America's been this way for a long time. And I'm not saying that it's right, but it's interesting to me when people talk about, oh, this isn't American, it's not this, and I'm like, whoa, hold on, you haven't been paying attention. It's always been this.
Right.
They've been, when you look at the separating the kids from the
Right.
mother, like, they've been doing this since slavery.
Right.
Breaking the mother away from the father,
Right.
beating the father. This
Yeah.
has been the way of America for a very long
long
time.
time.
So my whole thing is like, we talk about, oh, we're not this, we're not that. So look, it's not about what we're capable of doing, because we're capable of doing amazing things. What are we willing to do? What are we willing to do to combat what's going on? And that's the thing that I challenge people on, to challenge their beliefs, to challenge their program, because what are you willing to do to get that thing that you want? What are you willing to do to get equality? What are you willing to do to support women and men?
Right.
What are you willing to do? I said, because they're not going to give it to you.
Right. Well, another area that I think is adds to the difference, let's say, between the rest of the Western world and America. You have to remember what America, who, you know, it's like, I'm British, right? I'm English. We sent the criminals to Australia, and we sent the religious fanatics to America. We sent the religious loonies here. America was founded by religious fanatics. The Puritans were religious fanatics. We kicked them out of England. We didn't want them, right? We sent them here. This is what America is founded on, and I'm going to say it, religious fundamentalism. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. Fundamentalism in any shape or form is not a good thing, right? So this is a lot of what the feminism comes from. It comes from the fact of how the Christian faith is interpreted in this country, right?
Okay.
Right? People, when the Christians are quoting the Bible, they you know, because women are supposed to be a certain way, and they'll quote things from the Bible. They tend to quote things from the Old Testament, which is kind of weird for Christians because that's the Jewish Bible. But you know, if they're real, born, you know, Christian people, they should quote the New Testament. You know, and then, you know, Mary Magdalene was a hooker.
Well,
And what did he say? And what did Jesus say? Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. Right? So a lot of this stuff is based in the genesis of America. The fact that America was founded, white America was founded on fundamentalist Christians, on Puritans, right, with the Puritans. And that is still, you know, because why are we having, you know, to go another different way, why a man telling me what I can and can't do with my body?
Right.
How dare a man tell me what I can? How dare some old white guy sitting in Congress tell me what I can and can't do with my body?
Right.
When they had the Health and Human Services meeting about abortion, there was not a single woman around that table. How dare? That's what I get upset. How dare they? How dare they?
This is going to go forever. This topic is such a long and it's going to be such an arduous task to get everything done with this topic. And I think a lot of people coming in now who don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about feminism, and that's the topic today. And this is our guest, Marina Sartis. If you guys missed out on who's here, and she's doing a very good job of leading the way on this conversation. But for us, I mean, we want to get probably one more question from the people here, and then wrap it up because time is really running away from us. So, did you get any questions yet? You got it?
Let's see. We have two.
Yes.
No, not that one. A small amount of people. I don't know who this is who said this. A small amount of people have turned feminism into hate for men.
Right.
How does that How is that counterproductive? How does that counterproductivity contribute to the culture?
Okay. I think they're right in saying a very small minority.
Right.
A very small minority of women hate men. Right. It could be for any number of reasons. They could have been abused. They could have been molested. You know, listen, as an actress, people say to me, you know, why didn't you speak out why didn't you speak out when you were, I was assaulted. I could tell you tales that would make your hair curl of when I was starting out as an actress. And that is why I'm a feminist. Because they didn't do that to boys. You know, it was accepted that I was going to get assaulted or molested because I was an actress and it's like I didn't own my own body, right? And they said, well, why didn't you speak out? Because men were in charge. None of this is about sex. None of this is about anything but power. And women never had the power, and I didn't have any power. So I wanted to be an actress since I was 3 years old, right? I wasn't gonna let some jerk who couldn't control himself ruin the dream that I had my whole life. So I just sucked it up, right? And I put up with it. But that's what made me such a strong feminist now. And that's why I love these young actresses who are speaking out and stopping this, because, like I said, it was like we didn't own our own bodies, you know. And so if there are women out there who hate men, it's usually for a reason. It's not out of nowhere, right? It's not like they're not born going, oh, I hate men. It's through experience. They have had experiences that have made them feel this way, and I can understand that. I had experiences that didn't make me hate men, but made me strong and made me go, I'm not going to take this anymore.
Yeah. I think what you see women now, they're realizing that they do have the power, just as you did. It's just different time, different circumstances.
Well, we still don't have power. We still don't have power because, you know, look in Congress. How many women are there in Congress? How many women are there in the Senate?
But I think the power of the woman's voice is really, really powerful. Because he's looking now when women start to speak out more. Like,
yeah, and what happens? We've got a president now who totally negates that and calls them all liars.
But that's why we want to be a part of it. We want to help the narrative because we're two evolved human beings on this thing, and we're men. We happen to be men, and we agree with women being able to speak their minds and being able to do whatever they want. So we're trying to bridge that gap and make it a comfortable topic to where men can actually speak about it and actually help.
Open your mouth, Kerry, and ask. Right? If you're in a relationship, or if you're with, do you want me to help you do this, or do you want to do it on your own?
It's interesting because when I have asked, a lot don't know. They don't know where to start. So it's like, okay, we're having this grand conversation about this. So sometimes some people are like, well, you should just know. And I'm like, no.
You're not psychic. Okay, women, and the other thing is, women have to remember, they're not psychic. We got to tell them, right? People assume that men should know what women want and women should know what men want. We don't. Ask. Open your mouth and ask and have the conversation. It's about like equality and respect. It's respect. That's the main word. It's about respect.
And it just goes back to when we have that. And I posted the other day, when men and women start to have open and honest conversations about those uncomfortable topics, when we stop having that, speaking that truth, it's always going to be here. We're not going to evolve until we're uncomfortable with it, because with growth comes discomfort. I'm going to have that uncomfortable conversation with you, but that's how we grow. That's how we move forward, and we agree to disagree.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. But we actually have when it's done over there. Okay. No, we actually have women that are actually scared to be a part of the feminism movement because
it has a bad rap.
It has a bad rap now. It's not just about what we're saying now and what you're eloquently saying as far as it being a respect thing and it just being a mutual, equal arrangement, right? I think people are getting to the point now where it's so extreme either way and there's no middle ground that it's causing confusion between everybody. And I think that's the whole conversation.
Because feminism has been labeled by men who don't want women to be equal. That it's like they're the ones who are calling them feminazis, you know, because they don't want women to be equal, because they're so insecure or whatever it is, that any strong woman is threatening to them, right? A woman who speaks her mind is threatening to these guys because they don't know how to deal with it. I'm pretty sure they tend to be old guys, because I think younger men are brought up differently, you know?
And I guess my question to men, and I would challenge men, like, look, around this whole feminist movement, if it makes you uncomfortable, why? Why is it? Is it fear? Is it fear for women coming in power and you feel like you're losing some type of power? Because I always say, it's only power if you can relinquish it.
Right.
If you can't relinquish the power, you have no power. You only need it to wield over other people. You know, that's not real power to me. So like for men, why does it make you uncomfortable? And I challenge that with anybody, with any feminist, because men can be feminists.
And on that note, I'm sorry we got to cut it off, but this got to be a part two. It's got to be a part two, and we hope we can get you back. You'll come back for a part two.
Oh, you're so nice and cool.
You'll come back for a part two, Marina.
I will.
All right, we got to end it here, but this topic has been great. We knew it was going to be this way. Feminism is such a such a big thing and a big issue amongst us now as human beings. So we're gonna have a part 2. We're gonna get Marina back. I think everybody would be happy to have that happen. So thank you for coming on and being a special
Oh, my
guest.
Twitter. I need to put my Twitter.
Yeah, drop your Twitter for
Okay, my
everybody
Twitter
to
is
follow.
Marina_Sartis. It's easy.
How you spell Sartis? So
Sartis, but I'm pretty much, as soon as you put Marina in, I'm the first one that pops up.
Because she's very special. So we're gonna end it that way, guys. Thank you guys for coming on board. Feminism was awesome, and we're gonna come back with a part 2. And,
Thanks, guys.
It was great.
Thanks for inviting me to the party.
Thank you. Oh, outros. There it is.
Yeah, but where's the ABBA?
Come on now.
No,
Wave that thing. Wave it, Marina. Come
I'm
on.
excited that Mamma Mia's
she was
coming up.
like us now last week.
I'm like, where's the ABBA man?
Right. You and
Thanks,
I
guys.
too.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Ooh, there you go. Hey.
Ooh.
That's forceful. You can't be like that these days. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Hey.
Is that a girl singing or a boy
It's a
singing?
girl.
Oh, it's okay, then she can say it.
That's
Right,
right.
yeah, it's like the N-word. You can say it, we can't, right?
All right, guys. Thank you.
Guys,
Peace
see you
out.
next week. Yeah, so it's interesting. There's so many different ways.
That's good.
We can go with that.
See, that's what. Yeah, it was
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. And I was saying it's got to be contained and.
My honey. Mwah. I love you so much.
Picture of it.
People definitely were wanting a part 2.
No.
They're like, I'll buy a ticket to
That's
the
why I
panel.
said it.
You know what they said? I'll
No.
buy a ticket to the panel.
So this one, like after he and Nikki broke up, right? He
You're not recording.
He called me. We
No, cut
texted.
down, cut down.
He texted. We met for coffee. He goes,